go ahead and call the meeting to order. Could everyone please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance in a moment of silence immediately following? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Reminder to everyone, the meeting is being recorded and everything said in this meeting is part of public record. It will be posted on the county's YouTube channel in the near future. Since the last time we met as a board, I was out for a week, so I'm not sure if the other commissioners had any executive sessions or meetings while I was gone. Okay. Commissioner Eggleston and I both ended up at the Conowongo Township meeting the other day, and we did end up talking about LERTA, but that was during a public advertised meeting, so it wasn't an executive session. The only correspondence I have to bring before the board is a former elected official has again asked if we would consider raising the cost of living adjustment. That, of course, would be something we'd have to talk about in salary board, but that I would at least put it on everyone's radar. Any other correspondence? All right, hearing none. There's no cause for public hearing. At this time, I would ask if there is any public comment not pertaining to the businesses on our agenda today. Hearing none. The agenda today includes an approval of an agreement with Palmetto Posting, authorization of the complete count committee, depository bids, a memorandum with the Allegheny National Forest, an agreement for auditing services, and a non-disclosure with the U.S. Corps of Army of Engineers. Anything else I'm missing? I know Commissioner Eggleston wants to have a conversation about the LERTA. That'll go under Commissioner comments. Okay, hearing nothing else. Have you had a chance to review the minutes from March 27th, and do they meet with your approval?
They do.
Very good. Fiscal report. Fiscal director is not able to join us today. In the general fund account, we have $1,063,000. In Erie bank account, we have $648,000 for a grand total of approximately $1.7 million. We are expecting $285,000 in payroll in this coming week, and the TAN has not had a second tapping, so we're still at $500,000, and we're doing better than we have in 2016, 2017, or 2018 in terms of pulling from the TAN early. So, well done, fiscal office. Any questions?
I'd just like to congratulate the fiscal office for rearranging a lot of the bills and some other things in order to avoid drawing from the TAN. So we're, instead of $1 million that we would have drawn, we've only drawn $500,000. So I think that's a really great job by Mr. Hearn and everybody in the fiscal office.
Yep, saving good interest. There's two proclamations on the agenda today. Do either of you, would one of you each please read one? Commissioner Morrison, I think you've read the motorcycle one in the past, right?
I'll read that one.
Very good. Commissioner Eggleston, you can read the correctional officer.
Absolutely.
Motorcycle Safety and Awareness Month, May 2019. Whereas annually, the Warren County Board of Commissioners adopt this proclamation in support of motorcycle safety through rider education programs and public awareness programs to try to reduce the number of motorcycle accidents and deaths. And whereas the month of May has traditionally been proclaimed as Motorcycle Safety and Awareness Month to urge all motorists to utilize this period to better recognize issues related to motorcycle safety. Now therefore, be it resolved that we, the Commissioners of Warren County, hereby proclaim May 2019 as Motorcycle Safety and Awareness Month, and we commend the Gold Wing Road Riders Association, Chapter Q of Warren, for their successful efforts in teaching motorcycle safety and awareness. Thank you.
Commissioner comments?
Just think it's an important proclamation to bring awareness to the fact that we do share our highways with motorcycles, and it's wise to really be paying attention on the roads for their safety and for our own. And I thank you for coming to our meetings every year. We appreciate having you.
It is important, because if we tell other people our programs, some of them will come and join us, some of them benefit from even some leaflets that we pass out, and they find an article, you know, 'cause, to my knowledge, the Golden Road Riders are the only ones that have ongoing education continually. Like, we have a state rally coming up, and there'll be classes there that you can take to refresh. Every year they have classes, and you can get them in between. And there is no other ones that I know of that have that ongoing all the time. So it's helpful because we share some of that with other people.
Do you notice ever after these proclamations are put into the newspaper and we bring awareness to this, do you ever find more people are contacting you for learning about motorcycle awareness?
Not too awful much,
Okay.
but they do see it because some people know us now. Pat's been in for years and years when he started.
22 years.
And so a lot of her friends will say something, people are getting to know me a little bit more, and some of our newer members and stuff. And they'll say, oh, we saw your picture in the paper, and even that little bit lets them know, oh, the motorcycles are going to be out there again now. So I think it's helpful.
Well, good, because that's the goal.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And ma'am, for the minutes, could you please state your name and residence?
Do I need to stand up?
No.
Rita Gillespie. I live in Garland, Pennsylvania. I'm the chapter director for Chapter Q for Warren County.
Thank you very much. Any other comments?
No, we just like to get a picture before we leave today.
We will do that as soon as we pass it. Thank you.
Well, let's recognize the other two that are with you.
Patricia Cole, Warren, Pennsylvania. It's 22 years I've been in it.
Okay,
So-
thank you, Patricia.
My name is Bob Pangallo. I'm from Youngsville.
Thank
I've
you,
been
Bob.
in the different chapters for probably 8 or 10 years now.
Good.
Wonderful, thank you.
All right, correctional officers, employee meeting.
Correctional Officers and Employee Week. Whereas Pennsylvania's correctional system is the oldest in the nation, evolving from the establishment of Philadelphia's Walnut Street Jail in 1773 and the Eastern Penitentiary in 1829, and the Pennsylvania system, as it became known, was the leading influence in the development of penology throughout the 19th century and the forerunner of modern corrections. Today, Pennsylvania faces new and difficult challenges in corrections, with 26 state correctional institutions, a training academy, 14 community correction centers, and 39 contract facilities, a motivational boot camp, 63 county prisons, and jails, and 15 federal institutions. Our correctional facilities house more than 100,000 inmates. And the secure and safe operation and management of those facilities on a daily basis rests in the hands of more than 28,875 trained, skilled, and dedicated corrections professionals. They are administrators, corrections officers, counselors, treatment specialists, educators, clerical staff, support staff, business administrators, and purchasing agents, personnel and labor relations specialists, clergy, medical professionals, food service specialists, computer technicians, planners, and research analysts, and skilled craftspeople upon whose skills, efficiency, and professionalism the functions of the Pennsylvania correctional system depends. Although, I will pause to catch my breath there. Although each of these dedicated professionals work in a different field and specialize in a specific area, all are committed to a common goal: the secure, safe, and humane operation of our Commonwealth's correctional facilities. We, the Commissioners of Warren County, hereby proclaim May 6th through the 12th, 2019 as Corrections Employee Week. We also encourage everyone to recognize the vital role these dedicated professionals play in ensuring the effective operation of our correctional system in the interest of public safety. Adopted this day, the 10th of April. And I would just say I look at this from two different perspectives. One is, just as a co-administrator, I guess, of the jail facility, the job that these folks do is really hard. It is a lot of different people in the corrections field deal with challenging folks at different times. The corrections officers are one of the few that spend their entire day with them all day and taking care of these folks in a confined space with very limited room to move, and it's a really challenging job, and so I have a huge amount of respect for them. Second reason is I've seen it firsthand. Years and years and years ago, when I was making very not good decisions for myself, I actually spent a couple nights in the jail over there with the correctional staff, and I found them to be incredibly accommodating for myself. And frankly, the other thing that they do that they don't really talk about here is help get these folks to move in a different direction too. A lot of people, I think, get the impression that the correctional staff are these hardliners that are really tough on the inmates, and they're actually more social workers than they probably are anything else. They always want to see people stay out of the jail. They want to see them change their direction, so they work really hard to do that. So just like to commend them for the job that they do. That's it.
Good. The warden wanted to say a couple words, I believe, but he is in another meeting. Hopefully he will make it back by the end of this meeting, and we'll pause the meeting at that point and give him a moment to speak, if you don't mind. This time, I'd ask for a motion to approve the agenda of the minutes from March 27th, the fiscal report, and the 2 proclamations as read.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is made and seconded. Any discussion from the board? Any public comment? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. The only old business on the agenda, what's not on the agenda, is we need to get the GIS agreement in place between us and the Northwest Commission. Hopefully we can have that by next time.
Yeah.
Why don't we go ahead and take a picture?
Okay.
Do we have the proclamation?
I just usually stand back here in front of the
You know.
I don't want to give away yet, because I gotta scan it.
Right.
You can use my phone.
Wait a minute, Pat's gotta get over here.
Yeah.
Somebody else.
Yeah, well, so that
Take it.
already got
Yep.
How's that? That's perfect.
Scrunch.
Is this my good side?
They're all-
Okay. Very good. Thank you.
This is what we
All right, great.
Thank you so much. We'll make sure that you get.
Have a good rest of your day.
Take care. Thank you for this.
Yeah, if you could stick that GIS agreement on old business, I'll make sure that's on for next time. See it on
Phil, did you want to say anything about Palmetto posting? Okay. Very good. Back to the new business, approval of Palmetto posting agreement. This is an agreement that the county has with Palmetto Posting Incorporated out of South Carolina in order to do posting for tax claim properties direct.
For upset sale and return of claim mailings.
This is an amendment to the agreement, primarily extending the current agreement we have in place through calendar year 2019, 2020, and 2021. Any questions?
I reviewed and approved it,
Very good.
the original and the amendment.
Okay. No questions questions or comments? I'd ask for a motion to approve it.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion from the board. Any public comment? All those in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Resolution 3136 authorizes the creation of the Complete Count Committee. We've discussed this at length in a couple of work sessions, and I think the last meeting as well. Basically, the Census Bureau has asked that the county government form a Complete Count Committee in order to ensure a complete vote during the census, a complete census next year, April 1st, 2020. And for this committee, we came up with a list of people in a work session previously and invited them to become part of the committee. Those that have accepted include myself, Nancy Freenock from the city, Dan Blotz from Planning and Zoning, who has agreed to chair it, Amy Stewart from the school district, Ed Burrows from Veterans Affairs, Joan Stitzinger from the High Ed, Lisa Rivet from Elections, Joe Scully, presumably representing municipal governments.
Yes.
Barb Tubbs, citizen, Tanya Mitchell-West, she's with
The Housing Authority.
Housing, right, thank you. Bill Clark, BEI, Jennifer Bliss, Radio, Jim Decker, WCCBI, Pam Maffey, Commissioner's Office, Lacey Hanson from United Way, Bob Rabel from the EOC, Mike Lyon from Zoning, Sean Silman, he's the representative from the Census Bureau, and then Mayor Cashman from the city. I believe we still have some outstanding invitations, but if we pass this resolution, might it be at least implicitly said that those people will be approved as part of the committee. I believe we've gone over this a couple times, so I would at this time ask for a motion to approve the resolution.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion from the board. Any public comment?
I'm gonna keep quiet.
I'd just like to thank Commissioner Catherland for taking the initiative on this and putting this together. I think this is a really great thing that you're doing, that we're doing, and that it's going to be a huge help to the county. The more data we have, the more ability we have to advocate for ourselves and also make smart decisions. So thank you.
I want to thank Dan Blotz for being the one that did the research and Pam for putting together the resolution and everything. Thank you very much to the staff. Motion was made and seconded, and there's no more discussion, so all those in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Repository tax bids. We have two on the agenda, but I know Mr. Gilbert wanted to offer some thoughts as well, so if you would like to, this would be a good time.
Yeah, so you have two bids in front of you, which are just a standard repository bids. I wasn't going to speak on those per se, but just rather statistics on how we increase the bid. So if you guys want to approve these first, I can go into details about that.
I don't think we do.
So, as you know, we increased the bid price about a year ago. So instead of the $250, we're now collecting the actual cost that we accrued. It's been close to a year now since we implemented that change. And I just wanted to explain that if we had kept the $250 bid, we would have collected about $2,000 since that date. We've actually collected close to $10,000. So really, we collected $8,000 to cover costs that we would initially have lost, would have been a burden on the taxpayer because they would have actually paid for all those costs that we accrued from mailings, postings, all that stuff. So that change actually did help tremendously. Initially, we had 20 go onto the repository list from the last judicial sale. With these two, we'll have 10 left on the list. I just wanted to explain that to you guys.
Good, thank you very much.
I'd like to thank Mr. Gilbert for initiating that change. That was something that was brought to the Commissioner's office, and it's turned out to be a really good thing because most of the situations where we're dealing with these difficult properties, the taxpayers are subsidizing those projects, and the less we can reduce, the more we can reduce that, the better. So thank you.
Yes, thank you. I'd echo that. That exceeded my expectations in terms of what it would bring in by far. The two tax bids in front of us are SH 365-8913 in Sheffield Township. It's 4582 Route 6, currently owned by Ingersoll Land Trust. It was bid on for $1,600 by Angela and Dennis Jakey, or Jex. The second one is Whiskey November 257-6444. It's in Pine Grove Township in 495 Cottage Place, currently owned by Cheryl Wilson, bid on for $2,500 by Sarah. Do I hear a motion to approve these two?
So moved.
A second.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion from the board. Any other comments, Phil? Any public comment? All those in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carries. Next is a 5-year memorandum of understanding with the Allegheny National Forest. This is addressed to the sheriff and has to do with wilderness search and rescue, which is performed by the sheriff's office as well as the emergency management agency. A standard agreement that I believe we've had in place for some 30 years, if I'm not mistaken. Mr. Corson, do you want to add anything or say anything?
Yeah, this is a long-standing agreement that we've had. This is just renewing the agreement.
Can you be clear, was this agreement previously a year?
I don't believe so. I
So
believe
this
it
has traditionally been a 5-year
I
agreement?
believe it's a multi-year agreement.
Okay,
Yes, it
I
is.
just wanted to double check.
There are other agreements that we have with the ANF related to law enforcement done by the sheriff's office, but this is specific to search and rescue.
I just wanted to state for the record that the other agreement that we have for patrols, that when that comes time to renew that we sit down and have a conversation about doing a multi-year agreement instead of a single year. Like in my discussions with the Army Corps of Engineers, they basically begged for multi-year agreements so they didn't have to go through the rigmarole. So.
Yeah, I assumed it was them that made it.
No, it was us. I'm pretty sure that they just kind of mandated it to be every year so that they could review it, but at this point, it's pretty stock, yeah. So.
But just for whatever it's worth, I reviewed this. It is not legally binding. It states so. It's simply a memorandum of understanding. I believe the purpose of this is that there's some federal statutory requirements to regulate the use of vehicles in designated wilderness areas.
Yes.
So that the actual purpose of this agreement is only isolated to Hickory Creek Wilderness Area, Allegheny Island Wilderness Area. So it's really kind of limited geographically in scope.
Very good. Chief Deputy, did you want to add anything? Sorry, I should have turned to you first.
No.
Okay, very good.
I have a question.
Mr. Scully.
You want to have a 5-year agreement. Let's face it, we know the sheriff's department patrols the Allegheny National Forest, especially during the summer months, campgrounds and stuff like that. And they prevent a lot of craziness by people that are maybe dealing with alcohol at the time. Can't we lengthen that?
Look, again, this is just, that is exactly what Commissioner Eggleston was asking.
Okay, I wasn't sure, and I agree with them. I mean, they do a fabulous job, and if you've ever been on a rescue up there, without them maybe notifying the proper people, we could have a catastrophe.
The only thing I would say is that 5 years is a pretty good length of time, and the only reason I say that is that there's turnover in different positions, and some people don't remember these agreements or what's in them, and it's good as a refresher, just generally.
I would also add this agreement is as much for the Forest Service as it is for the county, because this agreement ensures that the Forest Service complies with the federal statutes that require that if you have any vehicular activity in a wilderness area, it's only to the extent that's minimally necessary. And so this agreement spells out what that will look like.
Okay,
Right.
thank you for your explanation.
I don't believe we've moved on this, correct?
No.
Okay, could I ask for a motion to approve the MOU?
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? Any other public comment? Very good. You heard the motion. All those in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next on the agenda is an agreement with Zelenkofske Axlerod. This is to extend our their auditing services, not only to cover the county, but also to cover Forest Warren Human Services. This will also need to go before the Board of Forest Warren Human Services, but since it's an it is an amendment to our agreement with them, we need to be the ones that pass it, at least initially. Unfortunately, the fiscal director was not able to make it today to answer any other questions, but any discussion?
What happens if the governing board doesn't wish to pursue this?
I don't understand why they wouldn't, because this is actually costing half of
Just a
what
question.
the current ones do. I don't know. I suppose we would have to go back out to bid to find other services, but
Yeah, I think that at that point, nothing would happen. We would stay the course with what we have. I mean, this was something that we basically made an offering to do, basically because we've been very happy with Zelenkofske Axlerod and the work that they've done with the county, and especially with the bid coming back half of what we're paying for the current auditing services. The Forest Land and Human Services seemed sensible to offer this to them.
do you hear a motion to approve it?
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion from the board? Any public comment? For the motion, all those in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next on the agreement is a non-disclosure with the U.S. Corps of Army Engineers excuse me, related to technical information that I believe the PSAP, or 911 Center, will have access to. And it relates to the support of flood emergency plans. Kent, did you want to say anything? No, sir. Have you had a chance to review this, listener?
I have not, but I can, if you do the personnel report, we can come back to this.
Okay. Very good. I apologize about
It's
that.
2 pages.
Yeah.
If you would like a brief explanation, I can give one. I thought it
That would
was
be
very
fine.
straightforward. This agreement, every 3 years, the Corps of Engineers redoes their flood inundation mapping, which shows if there was a catastrophic event at the Kinzua Dam, where the different various levels of flood stage would be. And what this agreement says is that I can't share that with the media or the general public, that I have to keep that within my building.
It's pretty straightforward.
Pretty straightforward.
Yep. All right, well, if you would, please turn to the personnel transaction report for a moment. One change since the last commissioners meeting, Carrie Hendrickson was promoted to Domestic Relations Director at an annual rate of $58,324.49. Judy Kosminski retired as the Domestic Relations Director, effective on the 29th. You'll see that Carrie officially took over the position on March 18th in order to have some overlap. Any questions?
Just might want to correct this if you're putting this into the record.
I just like to state thanks to Judy Kosminski for her years of service with the agency. She did a very good job of managing domestic relations, and I'm sure that her separation will be felt, just with the amount of work that she did over there and her leadership. So thank you to Judy.
Ditto. Any other comments? None, I would ask for motion to ratify the personnel transaction report.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Motion, discussion. Public comment. All those in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Okay, then back to the, excuse me, technical sharing of information with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. Please, do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion is made to approve the NDA before us. Discussion, public comment. All those in favor, please state aye.
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 Motion carries. All right, on to Commissioner comments. Commissioner Eggleston, I know you wanted to discuss the alerta.
Yes. So, in light of the fact that on Monday, Commissioner Cafferland will not be available for our work session, and some information that's come to light, I'm basically requesting to have a discussion about the county's proposal for LERTA, and basically so that we can get a few details ironed out and come to an understanding of how we're going to proceed, so that I can go out and get things moving. So first things first, I wanted to convey that so far the municipalities that are directly interested in this program to this point where they've signed letters of basically intent to participate are Pleasant Township, Sheffield Township, Clarendon Borough, Glade Township, Youngsville Borough, Conowongo Township, and the city of Warren hasn't given me a letter, but they've conveyed that they're essentially going to move forward with the litter program. So the reason I'm asking for the details that I'll be asking for are basically there are some things that I would like to push these or lobby these municipalities to do as a part of the litter program, you know, in order to give as many incentives as possible for development. And I would like to have a consensus between the commissioners as to what what the limits of what we're willing to offer in case a township maybe wants to do something that maybe we're not willing to do. So that's one piece of it. The second thing is although this isn't technically, they haven't made the decision yet, my understanding is that the city of Warren on Monday is basically going to have a discussion about setting a date for a public hearing in light of passing some type of LERTA program. I'm assuming that at that meeting that they'll make the determination of what exactly the levels of abatement, you know, what the schedule is going to be for their program. But my understanding is that they're planning on having a public hearing in mid-May. So what I'd really like to do is have all of the organizations that are interested in this program get our ducks in a row over the next 2 weeks, and then have a community public hearing in conjunction with the city of Warren in order to basically give the public the opportunity in the townships that are related to the program the opportunity to speak at that meeting and do it all at once. That way we can have one ad, save money on advertising, and then also have it be like a community effort, you know, and then give everybody the ability to share their concerns or interests in it. We don't have to do that. That's not the way it has to go. I've conveyed to the city that if they want to move forward with their own program, that we will work in support of that effort, and we could have our own hearing later, which is perfectly fine. There's nothing that says that we have to have them all at the same time. But if we can get it lined up, I think it would be nice for the school district, the county, and then the municipalities to come together and have one event that everybody can, you know, have a discussion on.
What was the date you were on?
Well, I'd like to wait until Monday to see
Okay.
what the city's intention is as far as the date goes. But my understanding is that it would be sometime in May.
Okay.
So,
I think that sounds like a very good idea.
okay. So, a couple of things. First things first is from my perspective, I've been talking about pushing for a 5-year, 100% abatement on all adjustments to property and all new construction, and make it have as few strings as possible so that we can get the maximum amount of you know, carrot on the table to get development going within the county. I guess what I'm asking is that something that the commissioner, is that the threshold that the commissioners are willing to accommodate? I haven't talked to a municipality yet that's really comfortable with doing anything more than that. Many of them are interested in doing 3 years, and then some of them, it all depends. Some of them don't want to handle new construction, some of them do. My personal perspective is that we should push for the new construction to be a part of it, just because, you know, between the properties that we're demoing and leaving vacant lots, the need for single-story housing for seniors, and that we have a lack of. We have a lot of colonial 2-story buildings that don't accommodate senior living. There are a lot of things that we can do with funds from the Fed on public housing and a number of other things. I think trying to incorporate new construction in it would be important. It doesn't mean that it has to be. It doesn't mean that that's what the townships have to agree to. It's just what I have been proposing. And I guess my question is what are the other commissioners comfortable with or interested in?
Would you like to go first?
Well, I think in order to get the most from the LRTA, I would believe that the 5-year plan, 100% abatement, makes the most sense. That's, I guess, how I would want to move forward.
Are you comfortable with that including new construction?
Yes.
Okay. Commissioner Kafferlin?
I have a slightly different perspective, but it sounds like I'm outvoted. So. I mean, from my perspective, the purpose of doing the LRTA would be to foster or encourage growth that wouldn't otherwise happen. I would, by the way, like to reiterate that by passing residential, we would by no means be stopping our commercial LRTA, correct?
Correct.
Well, technically, we would replace the commercial LRTA.
But with a more robust,
with a more robust program.
commercial LRTA as well.
Yeah.
Correct.
The
Good.
current LRTA for commercial is 10 years, isn't it?
Well, it depends. Every municipality does it a little bit different. Like, so some of them have 3 years, some of them have like a graded system. It's very spotty. And then some of them, it isn't the whole municipality. They've identified specific properties that you could have a LRTA on.
So just to be clear, you're looking to change this overall?
Yes. Well, the goal is going to be to try to encourage the townships to do a township-wide LRTA program that covers both residential and commercial, and that those be under the same broad parameters in order to encourage development. Whether they're going to do that, I don't know. In order to get them into the program, I've said that we'll sign on to whatever they're willing to do, because some of them, if they feel like we're pushing them in a direction too hard, or they can't be a part of it if they can't set up their own parameters, they'll drop out. And I'd rather have them in their own, on their terms than not have them in the program at all.
This would probably be a good time for me to state then that I would like to encourage the municipalities to go a slightly different way than what you've proposed. That said, I am happy to do whatever, up to what you've stated, municipalities wish to do. I don't intend to micromanage this or push a county-driven agenda down on them.
Yep.
They know their communities best, and I know it will cause more work for our assessment office, but I really think the municipalities do need to be the one that takes the lead on defining what schedule they pick, whether or not it includes new construction, et cetera. So take anything I'm about to say with that in mind. Generally, I am not for new construction unless it is rehabilitating an older property. So for instance, there's a completely blighted house and you're going to knock it down and build a new house in its place, then I'm for it. But I'm not for taking an empty lot and just having a new construction bill on it and then 5 years, 5-year tax abatement. And the reason is because I think the purpose of this and the reason that I'm interested in doing it is to promote growth that otherwise wouldn't happen and rehabilitate properties that otherwise would not be improved. I'm trying to incentivize blighted property, even deteriorating property, to be rehabilitated. That said, again, if the municipalities say it makes sense to do new construction in our community, then I will back it. It's just, in general, I don't think that's not why I'm supportive of the LRTA. The reason I'm supportive is because of the, for instance, poor working families that don't want to, that maybe have enough money to improve one of their properties, but don't want to be hit with the additional tax immediately, or they need to save up that money to pay off the amount that it would cost to upgrade their property. And that's who I'm trying to help primarily with the residential. Obviously, with the commercial, I'm happy to do what is currently in place, a full 10-year. We don't want to do 100% new property. When it comes to job creation, I think it's a whole different bailiwick, and I'm all for a very expansive LRTA when it comes to commercial development. But again, when it comes to residential rehabilitation is the key, because we have a declining population, we have an overabundance of property, but not nice property. So that's the stab at it.
Lots of nice properties.
There are lots of nice properties, but there's also a lot of not nice properties, as is evidenced by the RDAs and Blighted Property Committee. Hang on, were there any other discussion from the board?
I guess I'd just like you to clarify. So what you were saying is that for residential, you are interested in the empty lot scenario? Or was that commercial as well?
I was saying the empty lot scenario where you build new construction for residential is not something I'm particularly interested in encouraging necessarily, because there are so many blighted or deteriorated properties that I would rather see incentivized to rehabilitate.
But not commercial?
When it comes to commercial, I'm happy to see commercial development
Right.
in any way I can. And the main reason is because, yes, there are commercial properties that could be rehabilitated, but the problem is that the cost of rehabilitating them is usually outweighing any benefit. And so there have been several businesses that have approached us over the last few years asking for things such as clean room environment that they are not able to accomplish in the existing buildings that are in town. So if we can encourage them to build new in order to create jobs that then turn around and fill houses, I'm all for it.
And me too. I just wanted that clarified.
Okay.
Thank you.
Very good. Any more comments from the board?
I'll second that after.
Okay, Mr. Scully, you had your hand up first.
Yeah, I'm for this growing commercially, because we definitely need some commercial business in Warren County. We've had a heavy discussion at Glade Township at our supervisors meeting. I think the public meeting would be an ideal thing, because just listening to you three right now is telling me there's mixed feelings. I'm 100%, if you own a residence and say you want to add on 2 bedrooms and a den or something, I can see a tax break there. As far as picking an empty lot and building, I think we have to have a little more discussion on that. But I can see people that want to add, and I know a few in our township that like to add additions to their home, but they realize that the assessment office is going to come out and they don't want it. A lot of people in the county, I think we all realize that add on to the building, forget about the permits, and then it's someone like myself in the position I'm at, I got to turn them in and say, I don't see a building permit. That's a benefit to the county to have the permits and that the construction is done properly. The most common error a lot of people make is on electric outlets. Does anybody realize the height the electric outlet has to be in a new construction? Very few do. And if you can get by adding an addition, and I have one in my township that I'm quite concerned about, no permits on the house, and it's being looked into. But that I can see. You add an addition because you have more children or you had an addition to your family. I can see that. But I have mixed feelings on a residential, but I will discuss that more with my board. But I'm 100% behind the LERTA program. And as far as how long we give them, I personally don't feel like going beyond 5 years. And that is, I believe, the consensus of my fellow supervisors in Glade Township. And I could ask Commissioner Morrison a question, because she is a fine resident of Glade Township. You agree with me, Mrs. Morrison, Commissioner Morrison?
With everything you've said today, yes, I do agree with you.
I believe the program, and I'm going to pitch it more at the Council of Government if one of you two aren't there, or Jeff's not there, Commissioner Eggleston's not there. Because I believe some of the outlying townships don't fully understand it. So it's reverting back to this general meeting of the public and make sure they come to it to listen to it. That's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Very good. Mr. Sakarik had his hand up next.
Have you had any response from the other school districts, Corey or Titusville?
Yes, I did go meet with the Corey School District, and there was mixed feelings. The primary reason for the mixed feelings seemed to be that they did not, at least one and then later a second board member did not feel that it was fair to the other municipalities within the school district that would not be affected.
Right. But those other municipalities, if they chose, they could create
Yes.
the same program.
They absolutely could, and that was my point. I
Good.
don't know that it does any good, but
Yeah.
but yes, that was my point.
With Titusville and Corey, there's going to be, I think, a bit more hand-holding with them. And it's mostly because they're engaged in a whole nother county, there are other issues, you know,
Right.
and they, so there may be some education that needs to be done for them on our part, and so we'll keep on them and keep discussing.
But the Warren County, your impression is that Warren County School District, they're in favor?
Everything that I've seen from the Warren County School District is that they're on board with this, and essentially what they're asking is for us to bring them what we want to do, and
Right.
then they'll basically move forward with it.
Because the biggest share of this is the school district. I mean, the school district, about 60% of your tax bill.
Yep.
Some of these municipalities are very, very minimal tax,
Yep.
but from an assessment standpoint, if you're gonna have a municipality that has a 3-year, and then you're gonna have a 5-year, and then the same thing with the STEP program. The STEP program creates a lot of assessment problems because you have a building that may be a new construction and it's 3 years in, and then they build an addition onto it. Now you've got
Yeah.
different sections of the building assessed at different, years.
Yeah, we've tried to push all the municipalities to do 100% for a period of time.
Yeah. And then Ben, on your idea of reusing the lots or rehabbing a building, yeah, I understand the concept there. The problem is you then end up with people, like in California, where they don't tear the house all the way down.
Mhm.
They leave one wall standing.
Right.
And then they can call that a renovation, and there's a benefit to them. The problem with having it where it wouldn't apply to a vacant lot would be you have a house that probably should be totally torn down. Somebody's going to leave part of it stand. And then also, you're going to have areas, a lot of these lots, once you tear the house down, these lots aren't big enough on their own
Right.
to do construction on. So if you're fortunate enough to have blighted homes right in a row, similar to like what they have in Bradford, where they tear down sections, you want to make it as simple and clean as possible. And I really don't see why a municipality would be opposed to it. If they have public utilities, water, sewer, they're picking up new users on that. And the only thing would be, if they had road building, but I don't think you're going to have that much of an impact. And you're talking only 5 years. The incentive is to get the people to build here instead of across in Chautauqua County where they're giving them 10 years.
Right.
Plus, Erie County, they have some other LRTA programs, and they very easily could come back and go, hey, we'll give 100% 5 year. There isn't that much new construction residential anyways around here.
Sure.
Well, and so this is kind of my point with the whole going across the board with new construction, is in the past year, we had 11 permits for new construction in the county.
Yep.
I mean, so this idea that it's going to have a major impact in, our goal is to add on, if we can add on 50 or 100% onto that, if we can double that number. And the thing that you have to remember with new construction is these are people that probably might have moved to Chautauqua or to Erie, and we lose their income tax
Yep.
when they leave. So we want people to move here, we want people to live here, we want people to invest in the community. When you have a 5-year, 100% LRTA, you also have the opportunity of, say, a developer coming in, building several houses, and then selling them with the tax abatement as an incentive to purchase the property. And the goal here, again, is to get new usable property, because when we demo these properties, which we're going to have to do continuously because we've got stock that's not, and you being in the realtors organization,
Yep.
that everybody thinks this is like I used to think it years and years ago that this is a buyer's market and there's just this glut of houses that are available. Well, the problem is the majority of them need enough work on them that it's not viable for an individual to purchase, whereas in many cases, like some new construction will give you the opportunity to do new things.
Right. Right. And that's kind of the problem with the rehab is it's very difficult to get a loan on a rehab project for an owner occupied. It's just, it's easier to do a new construction loan. And the other thing, in a lot of these areas, you're most likely not going to rehab the house. If you're going to have a new construction may be modular or manufactured home, just because it's so much easier to put in a modular or manufactured than to do stick built in a lot of these areas. But the cost of construction is so high, it's pretty difficult with the wage scales that we have around here to encourage new construction.
Yeah, the goal here is to remove as many of these barriers as possible.
Yeah,
And the thing is if we were to pass, say, a 5-year, like across the board LRTA, that's something that's gonna be competitive in theory. I mean, that's gonna, and Bradford has some, but it's a graduated over, I think, 8 or 6 years, and it goes down. If you're looking between Bradford and Warren, you know, to invest or to build, you know, or to redevelop, that's a huge incentive for people to make a consideration on, you know, tax-wise. And it's just, and the point that I've made from the beginning is we need as big a carrot on the table as we possibly can get, because we've got to spark development. So.
Very good. Well, Commissioner Eggleston, your 2 questions were whether or not the board was in agreement with a 5-year 100% abatement on all construction, correct?
Yeah.
And it sounds like you have your answer, and then when it comes to the meeting, we're all in agreement that that's a good idea too, right? So your 2 questions are answered?
Yes.
Oh, I apologize, Mrs. Zafino.
My question was on, you seem to have a slightly different view as far as how to do this. You were talking about targeting more of the lower income folks to do the rehabilitation through the LRTA program. Are you suggesting that there be like an income cap put on this?
Absolutely not. No, I'm not at all proposing that. I'm saying that that's the thrust of why I'm interested in it. Because I want to encourage families rather than slum renters to own their own property. But I'm not suggesting that we put any more barriers on it by any means. I'm just saying that that's why I'm motivated to work on this and why I'm supportive of it.
Okay, then I misunderstood. I thought you were saying that that would be your preferred target area rather than
No.
open wide to all.
To tack on to Commissioner Cafferlin's statement, you can adjust the LRTA ordinance to under any parameters that you want. So to an extent. So hypothetically, you could say new construction, but if it's only on a lot that's been designated blighted or deteriorated, you know, stuff like that, you can do a cap on the amount of abatement. For instance, like if you wanted to say and cap the amount that someone could save, you could do that. There's also a setup where, like on the commercial side, you could set up a job requirement where you know, if you create 10 jobs and then you have parameters in place, you can do that. The point that I've tried to make, and I think that the majority of the board agrees, is that the more strings that we put on it, the more work that's involved, the fewer people that are going to utilize it. And you're going to get some people that maybe you wouldn't want to utilize it, that you think should pay the full freight. There are going to be people like that are going to utilize it. But this, to me, is a middle class tax incentive, like across the board, to invest in their properties. We have lots of programs for poverty, and you know, at the federal, state, and local levels. This is something that I think that for people who want to invest in their properties in the middle class, there's an opportunity to do that, and at a reduced cost. So
So the municipalities will have the ability to set whatever parameters they choose.
Yes.
Okay.
Then the hope is that the county will then mirror whatever they do, and then that the school district will also mirror what they do. So each municipality will be different.
You're saying that if a municipality says only 3 years, then the county would only go 3 years in that municipality?
In that municipality, yes.
That's a bad idea.
Well, administratively, how else are you going to deal with it?
The thing that we have to look at is with the number of people that we have in the assessment department and their ability to track all of these individual properties. So if you have the county doing 5-year, the municipality doing 3-year, the school district doing their own thing, those are 3 separate bills that they have to track every single year for that individual property. And once you do that in aggregate over, say, 20, 40, you know, of these over a period of time, that's a lot of administration. So whatever they pass, everybody's going to pass, and then they're going to know that municipality is. The other issue is the municipalities are very touchy about the county pushing their agenda on them. Understandably, that's their turf, and the school district is as well concerned about pushing their agenda on the municipalities. And a big reason that they wanted us to bring them a proposal was because they didn't want the municipalities to feel like they were being steamrolled by the school district. So I think that the county and the school district working in collaboration with these municipalities, and I think that the more opportunity we give to them to have their own say, the more they're going to do probably what we would ask them to do anyway.
What'll happen if you have a county tax and the school tax in one township is on LERTA for 3 years and the adjoining township is 5 years, now you create a competition between those two adjoining townships.
Yeah.
And I don't know how you could fairly tax in one township at one level and not in the other township based upon that township's preference. A county tax is a county tax, it's straight across the whole county.
As a free market capitalist, I wholly support competition between organizations. You know, and what I would say to the members of that community is that they advocate to their township supervisors and go to a township supervisors meeting and tell them what they want. You know, it can't be the folks in their community have to advocate at their level with their municipality what they want. I have every intention of, once we get everybody on board, we know what everybody wants, you know, we're going to publish what everybody signed up for. And I'm sure that there's going to be municipalities who didn't get involved in this program, and their town folk are going to say, well, why didn't you? And you know, we're doing everything we can to be open and promote it. I just, like, I can't stress enough, this is the other thing that I'm sure Commissioner Cafferlin will get a chuckle out of, is I don't like the Fed telling the state what to do. I don't like the state telling the county what to do. I don't like the county telling the municipalities what to do. The community needs to figure it out themselves, and we can't. If we go, I can tell you, and I'm sure Joe would back me up. If we walked into any of the township meetings and told them this is what you're going to pass, that'll done. They'll say, you know, have a good day, and that'll be the end of it. So I understand what you're saying, like I do, like that there's a difference there. The other response I would say is there's already a difference, because not all of the municipalities have the same commercial LERTA. Some of them don't have any LERTA at all, I mean, right now. So there's already competition between those entities. Like the pitch that I would make to them too is to pass it, because and this is the conversation, I'll tell you, each one of these municipalities is talking about it right now. And I know that that was something that somebody at the city brought up, was, hey, if we only pass 3 years and all the municipalities around us pass 5 years, where are you going to build?
Yeah.
You know, and so I think that that's why we bring everybody together, have the discussion about it, and then that's how it'll shake out. You know, and I think that through that, most of them will get on the same page. Some of them might have a few strings, but
That was the comment I made last night at the city meeting about LERTA. They initially wanted to do 3 years, but I pushed for 5 years to be rid of the surrounding municipalities for 5 years. How about we just move out to Glade or Honolulu Township and live around the outskirts? Why not? A couple more years.
By allowing that freedom, I think they will probably nudge each other into the 5-year 100% and then be uniform.
Yeah, because my concern is a problem with the Corey area school district. That's where I figured you might run into a problem, because
You mean if the school district doesn't pass?
yeah.
Yeah.
Warren County will pass it, and then what'll happen is when you got Columbus and Spring Creek right next to you, you got Freehold.
Right.
If you're not utilizing the water and sewer, which is only in the small area of Columbus Township, I'm way better off in Freehold or Pittsfield Township building something new.
Right.
In fact, we've got people that are looking for industrial site, which is very limited to what they need for public utilities as far as that. And
Yeah, and I think if the municipality, if Columbus Township, for instance, said, we're not doing this at all, then I would be fine with the county saying, we want to do the 5-year 100% in Columbus Township anyway. Sorry. But if they came and said, we want to do it 4-year, I don't think it would be advisable to try to push them to do the 5-year instead.
yeah, but your township tax is such a small share of it. I mean,
It
it's
is.
pretty goofy for these townships to not fully support your 5-year, which I really thought was going to be 10-year, which I encourage you to go for 10 years. Yeah, for a township to say, I mean, they're going to pick up 2 years property taxes. And
Right.
I think it's important to note too that there's nothing that's going to be set in stone. So even if like a township decides to do 3 years, and over the course of a year we find, or 2 years, we find that this is successful, like the people like it, they're utilizing it, then we go back to them and say, well, let's talk about expanding it. Like as a, for instance, Erie, that's what Erie's doing right now.
Yeah.
Because they're trying to push the county, and everybody's trying to push them to do 10 years 100%, because right now they have a graded system. And they're in such need of it, and they see it being utilized, they're pushing for an expansion. And I'm even looking at it as Warren County versus Erie County.
Yeah.
Like where are you gonna build? Where are you gonna invest? And I think that we've gotta put our best foot forward countywide.
Yeah, that's kind of the concern I have is Corey School District says, no, we're not gonna go along with it. And then Erie County comes in and says, hey, we'd like to go 10-year. So then Erie County, their side has 10-year, Columbus and Spring Creek Township, we're out there with nothing.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just surprised because the county, Erie County has passed stuff like that. I'm surprised that the townships out there in Corey haven't looked into it, because like Union City has a residential LERTA, and all the surrounding townships around city area do.
Corey has it for industrial, commercial,
Yeah.
and greater than a 4 unit.
Yeah.
The residential is kind of a different thing, but residential is really where it should be, because your whole point here is to gain tax base. And so you give it up for the first 5 years, then you got it. That's why you shouldn't be concerned about what class of people that are building or anything like that. I mean, if somebody wants to come in and build $1 million house and they'll build it on the Warren County side, you benefit from their taxes 5 years from now,
Yep.
as opposed to them building in Chautauqua.
Yep.
So-
You've got to remember, gentlemen, if we don't get the school board, the county government, and the municipality government, it's not going to work. We have to have all 3 taxing bodies agreeing to this so that no township will say, well, we're losing money at this, and the school district's going to say they're losing money. We need to have all 3 taxing bodies, in my opinion, agreeing to this so that we're all on the same page as far as the tax break. As far as the 3 to 5 year deal, in the few townships that I've talked to, they all seem to be leaning towards 5. Maybe later on, if it turns out to be the greatest program, maybe they'll lengthen it. But 5 seems to be the magic number among the townships that I have spoken to about it, or have called me and asked me about it. But the main thing is, if we don't get the 3 taxing bodies of this county involved, which is school district, county, and the municipalities themselves, we ain't gonna have it. We have to make sure we have the taxing bodies on our side with this LERTA program.
Well, and I would just state that from what I've seen, all of the largest municipalities have signed on to it. So I would say that we have the bulk of the population. And I have no doubt that we are going to pass something. The question is what that is. I'm actually at this point concerned about the smaller municipalities with fewer people that actually have a greater degree of poverty, a greater degree of need of redevelopment on their properties, because I haven't heard much from them. We're in the process of going to every township in the county to talk to them about the program, to get them on board, because I think that's frankly where there's the most opportunity. And especially like with the new construction discussion, you have a lot of open property, you have a lot of areas that we have blighted property that needs redeveloped. Like they should really have the incentive, probably more so than anybody else, for people to build out there. So, so I agree with Ed in trying to get it as uniform as possible, and then try to push it outside of the big municipalities as much as possible too.
Very good, Commissioner Erguston, you have your answers.
Very good. So I'm going to, I'll first convey that we're willing to do 5 years, 100% across the board, and that at the same time to initiate a joint public hearing with as many municipalities as are willing to do it, and try to do it in conjunction with the city.
And to be clear, that's related to residential. Are we all in agreement the commercial is still 10-year?
Well, the only thing, so The thing is I don't know that it's 10-year across the board. Like, I think different municipalities have different commercial alert programs.
But yeah, but by the same
Do you-
logic that you're saying, we are advocating for 5-year, 100% for residential. I'm saying I'm still advocating for 10-year for
Commercial.
commercial.
If that's what everybody's comfortable with, I'm comfortable with that.
Commissioner Morrison.
I'm comfortable.
Well, your current 10-year alerted are in certain
Areas.
Exactly.
districts.
Yep.
The residential and new construction that you're proposing is 5-year blanket. So,
Yep.
yeah, you'd still have your alerted designated areas for the 10-year, and then you'll have your other
Yep.
5-year.
Okay, we're gonna be getting the hook.
Clear.
Yeah.
We understand that.
Yeah.
All right, we are getting the hook, so if there's nothing else, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
I move to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thanks.
They're supposed to be eliminating property tax for school districts anyway.
Totally understand.
Keep getting the mailings that say support this, call your legislator. So,
That would be wonderful.
yeah, the only problem is they want to replace it with an income tax, and I look around and who works around here?
Yeah.